How was it today, after holding the Chindo ceremony for Jesus? It was as if a great moon had risen, bright and clear when seen from here. My throat is sore, for I offered many prayers. If I live long, you will surely ask me every day to perform Chindo ceremonies for Jesus. This is no small matter. I prayed so strongly that my throat aches. If it is done weakly, there is no effect. It must be done with strength. So, it was done well. Today again, I wish to speak the Dharma on Gong thought. Human beings come forth from emptiness, and through interdependent arising they dwell in this Saha world, and then they depart. Do you understand? So when one comes from emptiness, lives through interdependent arising, and leaves this world, what remains? What remains? Nothing remains. Life is impermanent, is it not? Because life is impermanent, it means that while alive we must accomplish everything. Do you understand? If I cannot accomplish it while alive, then when I die, I cannot accomplish it either. Is that not so? Therefore, listen carefully to my words. These are precious words. You must listen well, learn, and put them into practice. As for Gong thought, you have heard and studied it so much, yet it seems you still do not know whether it is truly precious or not. But those who have studied much, who have knowledge, who keep in step with the times, they know how priceless and good this teaching is, beyond what you can imagine. Even the President of America takes our YouTube talks each day and listens. How good must it be that he listens in such a way? A person with progress in life thinks differently, plays differently. Those without progress, how do they live? They idle in gambling houses, wander into pachinko halls, waste time drinking in taverns. There are many such people. These people have no progress. Such people are as if born in vain. They ought not to have been born. So they live only by the virtue of those who earn money and work diligently. If such diligent ones did not exist, then these idle ones would simply vanish. Think carefully. That is why a person must have progress. And for that, one must awaken to many truths. Only thus can a human live well until death, and end life having lived rightly. Do you understand? If I too lived idly, it would be easy, would it not? Indeed, to idle is easy. I too could go to a tea house, sit beneath the air conditioner, drink a cool tea, and rest in comfort. But after spending even one Sunday here, with body strained and exhausted, it is truly hard. Yet if I only sought my own comfort, idling, eating, resting, that would not be right. Why? Because when a person comes into this world, one must live together with others, through interdependent arising. Those who sit in gambling houses, drink, or waste their time in houses of pleasure, such people do not live through interdependent arising. When they die, they vanish without even a trace of dust. Do you understand? Income does not come by itself. Income arises because when I act, there is the other, and through interdependent arising income comes. But if I only sit still, lips closed, then no income arises. Is it not so? Therefore, one must keep moving, acting, until death. So in this life, to be born, to come here, and to pass away having done nothing that is useless, without meaning. Is that not so? That is why one bears children. In children, there remains the trace that one has come and gone. And what is this trace? Trace is Gong thought. Do you understand? If a person leaves no trace, then it is as if nothing was ever here. Whether by singing well, or dancing well, or earning much and doing good with it, or healing the sick, there must be some trace. If there is no trace, then there is no meaning in coming and going. Even in songs, when singers die, their voices remain. That is called a trace. If a person leaves no trace in coming and going, then it is as if they never lived. And even if one does leave a trace, it must be a good trace. If one leaves a bad trace, it is worse than not having come at all. Is it not so? So one must leave a good trace, a very good one. Do you understand? That is why how I lived is what matters. What use is it to have been president? If one leaves well, all is fine. But if one departs wrongly, one is cursed and reviled long after. Is it not so? So a trace is something to be feared, something heavy with meaning. Even a single dot of trace is precious. And so now, the world is stirred and shaken because of FTA taxes, is it not so? And in our country too, it is said they settled it at 15%. So listen well. You must listen carefully and learn whether my words are true or not. What is tax? Tax is what you pay when you earn money, is it not? And that tax is given for the nation. Not because someone is pleasing to you, but for the sake of the nation. For the strength of the country, you pay tax. By paying it, the nation is defended, the duty of national defense fulfilled, and so on. In our country, the president, the ministers under him, the members of the National Assembly, many people, they are all working diligently. I saw in the news that they exhaust all their strength, traveling abroad with difficulty to resolve these matters. Truly they suffer greatly. So then, should not the Americans come to our land? But they do not. They just sit still and say, if you are in need, you must come to us and resolve it. That is not interdependent arising. Do you understand? When a person lives in hardship, in poverty, he goes and seeks even a piece of rice to eat. He says, please give me some rice. My provisions have run out, and my family is starving. Please give me some rice. That is how it is. And when one takes in spring, in autumn he must pay back with interest. That is called sorry. Do you understand? Listen carefully. If one borrowed a sack of rice, 90 kilograms, then one pays interest in measures called ri. 1 ri, 2 ri, 3 ri, 4 ri, and jangri. This is not orfiv ri, but jangri. And what does it mean? Since you borrowed a sack of rice, you must give interest. 1 ri is 1 maluf rice, 2 ri is 2 mal, 3 ri is 3 mal, 4 ri is 4 mal, and jangri is 5 mal. So, if you borrowed 1 sack of rice, on average you repaid with 4 maluf rice as interest. Thus if you took 1 sack, you paid it back with 1 sack and 4 mal. Do you understand? This is how we human beings have lived until now. But as for me, I would not take interest. For how hard must life be, that one borrows another's rice, and in autumn must add 4 mal in interest? Poverty is bitter and brings tears of blood. Because of poverty, do you understand? So, since life is hard and difficult, when we sell goods to foreign countries, they say we must pay tax on that. Do you understand? Now listen carefully. For the one who collects tax, it is pleasing, is it not? Even by sitting still, they gather 15, 20% and some hostile nations even 50%. But that is not earning money. Understand this well. Earning money comes only when there is mutual trade, 1-to-1. This is not mutual trade. I say, I need this. You must bring it to me, all of it. Then, just to bring one thing, they add a tax of 15%. So if the item is 1001, then 1150 is added. Do you understand? And when such an addition is made, demand, listen well, demand drops sharply. The law of interdependent arising in fair trade works only when it is 11. If it becomes 1.21, 1.51, 1.101, 1.151, then it is no longer fair trade. Now, in America, they feel good because money is flowing in. But look carefully as time passes, the money will not flow in. Why? Before, I could sell goods worth 10 million won in a month and earn well. But now, suppose I buy goods worth 10 million won from America. If, on top of that, tax is added, do you understand? Then because of that 15% tax, all demand collapses. Do you see? Those who have never done business cannot easily grasp this. But those who have long done business, who are masters in business, they understand my words immediately. So even though now it may look good, the future is not bright. Do you understand? If every time I sell goods to you, I must add a 15% tax, would you like it? Would you feel good? When I buy, there is no tax, but when you buy from me, you must pay tax. Is that reasonable? So I have told you again and again about demand. I have said, in business, only when demand is great can one succeed. Even the President of America does not know this clearly. Do you understand? Look, this cup is 3001. But I make it and sell it for 1001. Would anyone then buy it for 3001? Do you see? So I said this before, between one who sells a 10,001 product and one who sells a 1001 product, who earns more in the end? Have I not spoken this Dharma teaching many times? I have. If one sells a 1001 item, 10 pieces must be sold to make 10,001. But if one sells a 10,001 item, just one sale piles up money quickly. Yet in truth, in the end, the one who sells the 1001 items earns far more. Why? Because the demand for 1001 goods is immense, so great it cannot be imagined. But the demand for 10,001 goods is small. Do you understand? That is why the true wonder of business lies here. Is it not so? So interdependent arising in trade works only when it is equal. Because between America and us, with a 15% tax added, there is no true linkage. Do you understand? So paying 15% tax does not mean you cannot earn money, nor does receiving much tax mean you earn much. Watch carefully in the days ahead. As the news comes out day and night, you will see it clearly. Do you understand? And raising the price of goods, that is not the answer either. I said this before. Look at automobiles. Even if prices rise, even if wages rise, the car is still the same. They only change a lighter, change a bumper, that is all. Yet by adding one or two small parts, they sell it as a new car, charging 5 million, 10 million one more. Are such people not corrupt? Think about it. If they replaced the engine with something truly new, or changed everything thoroughly, then I could understand. But to add only a little, then put a new label on it and charge millions more, are such people not wicked? Is it not so? That is not good. If you cause pain in the heart of another, it is the same as causing pain in your own heart, and you will surely receive the return for it. I have said this many times, and what has come quickly? They demand 15% tax. If judged harshly, it is the same as stealing money, is it not? If this were to continue 5 years, 10 years, even hundreds of years, unchanged, it would be bearable. But as time passes, when presidents change, suddenly new taxes are attached. What was not there before? So the whole foundation of business shifts. And if they then raise the price of cars, people stop buying them. Is it not so? If I, to grow rich, to live well, do everything only by my own mind, then the other side always suffers in the heart. Is it not so? Now, gong thought is not something that changes and shifts. If it changes, then it is no longer gong thought. Do you understand? Cars also are the same. Look, they change every year, 2 years, 3 years. Why? To sell, to make profit. They keep changing the shape. And people are the same. Look at your faces. The face your parents gave you at birth, that is gong thought. But if you say, oh, the nose should be higher, the cheekbones too broad, the eyes not pleasing, and you go and change it, then your gong thought is altered. If this bodhisattva bears a daughter, and that daughter, when married, changes her whole face through surgery, then is she truly the daughter that was born? No, strictly speaking, she has become like a being floating in the void, without rightful origin. Think about it. She has been changed. That which remains as it is, that alone is gong thought. Is it not so? For example, when sunlight streams down from the sky, if it enters clean without distortion, then heaven and earth are made bright. But if the sun's light were altered, refracted through water drops, then one could not see clearly, and even life could not thrive well. It flickers and wavers. Do you understand? So the light of the sun must be pure, only then is it gong thought. What one carries from the origin itself, that is gong thought. To change it strangely, to twist it, that is not gong thought. Thus people are also like this. In the past there was even a proverb. What was it? If someone is sleeping deeply, and you play a prank by scribbling on their face with colored pencils, drawing big eyes, tearing open the mouth, adding whiskers like a beard, that is play, a prank. But if that person, while sleeping, never wakes, even into the morning, even the next day, what is that? It means death. Why did they die? because while their spirit went out at night, when it returned, it could not recognize its home. The face had been changed strangely, and so the spirit could not return to the body, and death came. Thus there was an old saying, do not draw on the face of one who is asleep. That is the origin of the proverb. And so, what do we call that? When the spirit returned and saw the face, it found it was not its own home. Do you understand? That too means it was no longer gong thought. Do you see? Therefore, what is forced and artificially made by people is not good. Do you understand? If you are to know, you must know with certainty. To know halfway, and to take what others have done and use it, to borrow the words of others and claim them as your own, that is not gong thought. Do you understand? And what is the most precious thing in this world? It is truth, truth itself. Do not lie, to speak as it is, to act as it is, that is the best. In life, there will be times of sickness, for such is human living. Our country is watched on three sides, as if under the eyes of a tiger. Now Russia, China, North Korea, are these not all enemies to us? Is it not so? When they come to buy goods, their mouths are smiling wide. But when they do not buy, they look at us as enemies. If one lives with honesty, it would not be like this. But how corrupt is mankind? Among all beings, there is nothing as corrupt as humans. If something goes against their heart even a little, they rush as if to strike down and kill the other. So evil is mankind. Yet what is wrong in themselves, what is wicked in themselves, they never confess to others. So you see, how corrupt a seed mankind is. It cannot be tolerated. Therefore one must be careful in choosing human relations. That is why, even for the President of America, I offered many prayers during the election. Why did I do so? Because for great affairs, a man is more fitting than a woman with greater boldness and stronger will. And seeing from before, he governed politics well, with courage and strength. So I thought, if such a person is chosen, we can live in peace. Thus, during President Trump's election, I prayed earnestly. I even hung lamps here, and there too I placed offering lamps. And so, even when bullets and blades flew, when the enemy sought to kill him, those bullets and blades were turned aside. Do you understand? This is no lie. How can a man block a bullet? With what skill? When a gun is fired, it strikes. Yet by sincerity moving heaven, by the Dharma power of Maitreya Buddha, bullets and blades were averted. And how was it done? By the enlightened light of Maitreya Buddha. When I prayed here for America, the muzzle of the gun was turned away, not toward the man. It was led astray, and so he was not struck. I do not say this to boast, but to show how precious human life is. When one dies, it is the end. Have you ever seen a dead man serve as president? When one dies, it is finished. But it is not only for us to live well, the whole world must live happily together. Therefore such things must not be allowed to happen. That is why I protected even the President of America. And in our own land, for President Lee Hee-myung, I too am the first benefactor. I do not speak to boast, but I know who follows me. Whether some unruly ones trail behind, or who commits evil deeds while lurking, I know it all, even without seeing with these eyes. How do I know? By the divine eye, Chunan Tong. And what is this Chunan Tong? It is to see by the Buddha's enlightened light. And how does that light see? Look, when the light of the sun shines, unless something blocks it, it reaches everywhere, across the whole world. Therefore the sun can see all the earth. Do you understand? Even if nothing else can see, the sun itself shines upon the entire earth, and all is revealed. Whether a man is evil or good, kind or cruel, drunk and shouting, all is visible beneath the sun. Though no words are spoken of it, yet all is seen by the Buddha's enlightened light. From here, I can see it all. What follows me, who among them are unruly ones, though they are not my brothers or kin, yet because the fate of the nation and the future are at stake, it is right that a worthy man governs, so the country may be stable and well. Is it not so? That is why I stayed awake at night, without sleep, watching through the divine eye, Chunan Tong, and thus President Lee Hee-myung was peacefully elected as president. You do not know, but when I look upon a person, At once I know their nature and heart. The saying, "You must live together to know a man," is the talk of living beings. But an awakened Buddha knows immediately, at first sight. He knows the whole mind of a person. Now, President Lee Hee-myung is being heavily investigated, because they say he sinned much under the former President Yoon Suk-yeol. He is constantly summoned, examined, put on trial. But one must also consider, did he truly commit such great sins? Do you understand? As I see it, he has not done such grave wrongs. And by nature, he does not carry the heart of one who would commit such things. At first sight, his eyes are sharp and narrow, so his outward appearance may seem severe. But his heart is not so. Do you understand? One must not judge a man by his outward form. How can you judge only from the outside, without looking within? Is it not so? I am the first benefactor of this nation. Even if the People's Party feels uneasy hearing this, the country must be at peace, must be stable. Can a land be entrusted to rogues in politics, throwing the nation into chaos? Would that be right? If judged fairly, those in the People's Party are rogues. Rogues. Why is the land of Korea theirs alone? When good citizens see this, their hearts are struck with grief. Do you understand? So I spoke one word of truth. Do you see? And in America also, we have lay followers. They do not come here, but they hang offering lamps, and send prayers. So indeed, there are lay followers in America. Though far away and unable to come, with telephones they are always in contact. Now, I hear that in America, from the customs duties they collect, they gave each citizen $600, about 820,000 won in our money. I do not know myself, I have never been, but the Americans spoke so. So when one receives money, yes, in that moment it feels good. But should one not know what is this money? Is it not so? In the old days, when I was in business, the number of people who took goods from me could not be counted. There were so many. I would sometimes make rounds to inspect. And what did I see? Men working with bare fingers sticking out of torn gloves, hands blackened. My heart ached. Since they had taken raw materials, they must pay the price, of course. But when I looked, my heart felt pain. They had not even enough to buy proper gloves, living on such meager earnings, struggling to survive. To take money from them felt sorrowful. Even though it was rightful payment for fair goods, still, I felt sorry to take it. Their hands blackened, cracked. Ah, such suffering, I could scarcely bear to see. That people must labor in such hardship just to live, that is what I saw. So, to receive money for free is not good. That is the truth I speak. And when one becomes president of a nation, what is the first necessity? It is health. If the president is sick, lying down in illness, it is a great calamity. Is it not so? So above all, health is supreme. Now, I saw in the news that President Trump's hand was bruised. They said it was because he shook so many hands, that blisters formed and turned dark. But it is not from handshakes. It is because pressure built up in the heart. Listen carefully, the blood flow from the heart descends into this part of the hand. When the heart is overpressured, this part grows dark. The same is true on the other side, both darken because of the heart. So think, how much burden, how much strain must a president bear? He must deal even with wars in other countries. He must resolve them. Can you imagine the stress? That is why his hands grew dark. And I prayed, so that it would all be healed, that the blackness vanish, that his hands become clear again, that he be healthy. And indeed, it was all cleansed away. So when someone in America dies, and I perform the Chindo ceremony here for them, even if they do not come here, the guiding is simple. Why is that so? Because it is done by the Buddha's enlightened light. Even without coming, the guiding is accomplished instantly. Do you understand? The master of all things in this world is the light of the sun. Do you understand? Because of the sun's light, when a man plants beans in the soil, the beans say, "Ah, now I may live." But if there is no sunlight, then what use is planting? Even if beans are sown in the earth, without light they do not rejoice. They do not sprout. But when beans are planted beneath the sun, how joyful must the beans be? I told you before, without the Buddha's enlightened light, the whole world would vanish into darkness. So what matters for human life is to live rightly, not to sit in temples offering devotions, nor to clap hands and sing in churches. Is it not so? If a man is starved even for a week, who will go to temple or to church? When he opens his eyes, all he sees is the rice bowl swinging before him. Who then thinks of going to meet Shakyamuni at the temple, or Jesus in the church? Starve a few days, you will see. So what is precious to man? It is food. It is what the eyes can see. It is the health to walk about. This is supreme. Why run to temples? Why beg at churches? All that is but inventions, things that do not truly exist. They are of no need upon this earth. For human living, there is no use in them. All of it is falsehood. Look now, even the Unification Church has come into trouble, has it not? And what is the Unification Church? What is it? They speak of the heavenly palace, saying there is a palace in the sky, that there is heaven, that there is paradise, and so they call it the heavenly palace. They say that all living beings who come from heaven are bound by one blood, as brothers, and therefore they must mix their blood. So when Moon Sun Myung of the Unification Church came to our country and acted in strange ways, what is Korea? It is the land of Eastern propriety. But what they did was the behavior of lowborn rogues, and so they were driven out, cast away to Japan. And when they went to Japan, they found their ways too corrupt, too disorderly, and so they were driven out again, fleeing then to America. There in America they could remain, for America is a land where relations between men and women are openly allowed. So in a nation where such things are open, the Unification Church could exist. But in Korea, where such things are not opened, such a church must never have been allowed to enter. Yet still it entered. How? If you go toward Yangpyeong, you will see on the mountain a strange round building they constructed. And who brought them into Korea? Those who did were truly wicked. For the Unification Church had promised if they were allowed to build churches in Korea, they would repay Korea's foreign debts. That was their word. Because in America they had already gathered great wealth. And for Americans, it seemed fitting, for their culture is different from ours. Do you understand? For in America, sexuality is open. But in our country, it is not so. Therefore, such a church must never have entered. Yet someone, quietly, allowed them to come. So this is a problem. In human life, one cannot live heedlessly. For such a church to come in, it means Korea itself was cast away, forsaken. Now they lie quiet. But wait, as time passes, uproar will come again. Do you remember when Moon Sun Myung first came to Korea and held his rallies in Yeouido Square? Perhaps you have not seen. 1 million people gathered. It was a spectacle, not for one day, but many days. Country folk carried bedding bundles, slept on the concrete ground, and joined in that rally. You do not know? You did not see? Where were you then? Ah, you must have been out in the countryside, not in Seoul. I myself came to Seoul 60 years ago, and you do not know of this? So you see, one cannot live on eating alone. It is said that in Korea, the Unification Church has 3 million members. 3 million. And so perhaps they were brought in with the condition that those members be admitted into the People's Party. And what do? They do not truly believe in God. They seek profit. They pursue business of gain. That is why now there is such noise and scandal. And the president, the ministers, the members of parliament, are they not all the same? If they go there and receive necklaces, bracelets, such things, is that not bribery? You must awaken your minds. Coming to Yonghwa Temple, do not sit in dull stupor. They brought those people in to make them party members, to strengthen their own dictatorship, and they even dragged them about for profit-making schemes. All this you yourselves can see clearly. Yet why are there still some who favor such a party, who follow them, even among you here? When I look, I see it all plainly. At a glance, everything is revealed. So why commit such acts? With that time, better to keep the household, live quietly and properly. Is it not so? Now the nation is in great confusion. We are walking on thin ice. Why? Because Yoon Suk Yeol sought to declare martial law, to scheme for long rule. but failing in that, he has now fallen into the courts. At that time, when I saw this when in Yehudo, women were running. When helicopters flew overhead, I stayed awake the whole night, bearing it. And what do you think I was thinking then? Look here, it is all plain to see. In the old days, Park Chung-hee rose by military coup, and through the Samol movement and other works, yes, our nation grew more prosperous. But how much dictatorship did he enforce? So in the end, his wife was shot dead, and he himself was shot dead. When a person lives and then passes in old age, you can tell whether they lived well or poorly. Is it not so? Even without such rule, Korea would have prospered. And then, what did Chun Doo-hwan do? Chun Doo-hwan too stirred up a military coup. When Choi Kyu-ha was president, he said, "Get out, you fool," and so brought forth the Gwangju uprising, where countless people were killed. And who learned from such ways? Yoon Suk-yeol. He is of the same kind, a bad man. But we are the land of Eastern propriety, the people of the East of manners. Are we a people to be trampled by guns and blades under such men? No, we are not. Think well on this. They are utterly wicked traitors. If I had not protected Lee Hee-myung, and if he had been shot dead, what would have happened? They stirred the nest by flying drones over Pyongyang, poking and prodding. And if you prod a beehive, what do the bees do? Chaos breaks loose. It is the same principle. Why provoke the North Koreans, who were sitting still? It was to spark war. And for such deeds, what praise is there? Even if such a man ends up in prison. Think carefully. Do people believe the presidency is some great exalted rank? It is nothing at all. Is it not so? I speak this because the nation has fallen into confusion, because life has grown hard for the people. For I too am one citizen of this land. Is it not so? And when they dragged him away and locked him up, even there he struggled not to die. But consider a man who once held the office of president. Does he not still have dignity, still have privacy? Yet in order not to be taken out, he stripped his clothes and danced naked in defiance. Think on this. Does that make sense? Is it not shameful? Such a person is shameful indeed. I do not meddle in others' affairs, yet all is plainly visible to me. Even the hiding of money, I see it all. Look at the presidents of our country, so many sought only to make money. They strove for wealth, and who among them did not? Did Roh Moo-hyun or Kim Dae-jung amass great riches? Did Moon Jae-in? If he had such wealth, why would he go live away in Yangzin? Would he not dwell in Seoul instead? Think on this. So who then made much money? I know them all, those who gained greatly. Lee Myung-bak, he made much. In the old days, on the Han River, he even launched boats. What did they call it? The Canal Project. He traveled abroad, proclaiming it, speaking of making canals on the Han. And the sand buried in the river, they dredged it up. And where did they sell that sand? Sand is precious. Construction companies buy it to build houses, and the price is high beyond measure. You cannot imagine how much. And the money made from selling that sand, where did it go? All was stolen. Though they spent vast sums on the canal project, the money from the sand alone would have been enough to cover the cost of construction. But instead, they sold it, and hid the profit away. Where was it kept? You all seem to be good-hearted people living simply with what you have. But theft is never good. And when those who steal and lie die, do you know what becomes of them? Shall I tell you? My uncle by marriage was one who always lied, who went to fortune tellers, who had talismans written. They would cut the paper small with scissors, roll it tight like a bean, spit on it and roll it up, then say to swallow it with water. Since it was only paper, eating it would not kill, but still they said to swallow it. They called it Zhongyang injection. Do you know of it? You do not, I think. It is something that cannot be made in Korea, only in China. They said only with true Zhongyang injection can life be saved. Now, my father, I told you before, went to China during the Japanese War. There, he came across a great wealthy house, a mansion of immense riches. Hungry, he entered, and the people there, seeing him, thought, this must be a Japanese soldier, not a Chinese one. My father could not speak Chinese, so they asked him, "Do you want to eat?" He gestured yes, and so they gave him food. There was a Joseon jock nearby who quietly translated for him. Then they gave him a lump of Zhongyang injection, these big huge. That wealthy house, the richest of the land, gave it to him, saying, "Keep this with care. With it, even the dying can be saved." And so he put it in his uniform pocket and carried it. But no matter how he searched later, it could not be found. When I was in the countryside, the son of my father's friend, his name was Zhang Rei, was about my age, just 2 or 3 years different. In those days, when a child had seizures, often they died. The hands would clench, the body convulse. It was terrifying to see. And Zhang Rei's son lay dying in seizure. So the father ran to mine, begging, "My child is dying." My father took a tiny bit, no more than a matchstick head of the Zhongyang injection. He put 3 drops of water on a white plate, mixed it with his finger until it dissolved, turning faintly red. Then he opened the child's mouth, pulled out the tongue, and spread it across. Immediately, the child revived, the seizure broken. So my father saved that boy's life. And not only him, I saw with my own eyes others saved by it. They say true Zhongyang injection is worth a fortune even in China. In our house there had been a large piece, but it was never found. My father wished to pass it down to me, but it was not passed. No one knows where it was kept. Yet so great was its power. But remember, when a man dies, it is the end. Death is the end. Still, with that Zhongyang injection, 3 or 4 children in the village were saved. So I tell you, one cannot live clinging only to greed. Emotions too must be discarded. Every person carries emotions, but if you hold on to them, you are useless. Think well, you must cast them off. Do you still carry such emotions? You say no, but I see plainly you all do. Ah, and still you say no? Why do you not answer when I ask again? You come to Yonghua Temple to learn the Dharma. But Dharma talks are not storybooks. They are the teachings that guide your life, that prepare you for the future, even for the next life. This is not fortune telling, nor is it me polishing some occult power to see things. When one practices, at times faint visions may appear. But what is seen is not the way. The way is awakening. If seeing were the way, then all shamans would be sages. Is it not so? So do not mistake visions for the way. Do you understand? You must study carefully with this in mind. And when there are things you cannot do by yourself, who makes them possible? It is Maitreya Buddha. When you try but cannot, Maitreya Buddha enables it. Suppose your eyes grow dim. You wish to come to Yonghua Temple in Anyang, but you stumble and cannot find the way. When you meet the Buddha here, your eyes are clouded, unable to tell the face from the back. How hard must life be then? By yourself you cannot fix it. Even if you ask another, they cannot restore it. But then, the Maitreya Buddha of Yonghua, who saves humanity, can deliver you. When he opens your eyes so that you may see clearly, is that not salvation? Is not such a Maitreya Buddha precious? For with words alone, what can be done? Is there anything a man cannot say with his mouth? But to truly act, that is different. And if you listen carefully to my words, you will understand. You already have that much capacity. By hearing of awakening, of Gong thought, of the law of interdependent arising, you will gradually see, and then you will know truly what a Buddha is. So do not act as you please, thinking, "It is my body, I may do as I wish." No, if you lived alone, it would not matter. But since humanity lives together, you must not collide with others. Is it not so? And that is why, when a president rules wrongly, he is shut away. Now you understand. In the past, I often went to Hanmyeomsan 1. Why did I go? Because many monks there, suffering from illness, came to me. Day after day they came. So as a human being, I could not refuse. I already knew well what such temples are, yet I could not turn them away. Still, those monks do not know, and so they keep attending there. They say, "Our master, our teacher monk, is the Buddha," and they follow. But if it were truly nothing, would monks remain there? They would all have left. And remember, these monks, though their heads are shaven, are from precious families. Some are daughters of noble households. Some graduated university, some high school. From many homes they came. When you meet each one, face to face, one by one, they are all good people. Individually, they are fine. But when they gather in groups and act together, then it becomes questionable. One day, I was sitting in the Dharma hall. I had some time, so I sat beside a great pillar at the entrance. I sat there with my eyes closed for about 30 minutes. Why did I sit there? Because a monk was performing a ritual and asked me to wait a little. Should I stand out on the road? So I sat in the Dharma hall. There were many others sitting there in prayer. As I sat, I suddenly opened my eyes, and when I looked, I saw along one wall there appeared shelves, running all around. In truth, there were no shelves, but I saw them, as if made. Upon those shelves were enshrined Buddha Shakyamuni, Maitreya, Avalokitesvara, placed one after another, all around, and directly in front of the Buddha's seat, perhaps 2 meters away, there arose a fountain round, about 5 meters across. You know a fountain? But this was no ordinary water. The fountain rose in blazing fire, shooting up to the ceiling. The hall's ceiling was high, yet the fire rose 3 times higher still. It was a wondrous sight. In the very center, upon a round lotus seat, sat Maitreya Buddha. The fiery fountain surged upward, yet not a drop touched him. The scene was magnificent. I sat watching, eyes open, for 30 minutes, and I thought, this is no ordinary thing. Afterward, I treated the monks who were ill. They were bhikkhuni nuns. If they went out to receive acupuncture, lay people would look strangely at them. They would say, "Do monks get sick?" and speak foolishly. But of course monks may fall ill. So I would quietly put them in my car, drive them right to the elevator, and they would slip inside unseen. I showed such care for them, and it was not once or twice, but often, for many years. So you see, I treated monks with respect. Never once did I act carelessly toward them, always with courtesy. But the teachings those monks studied Gong thought and such Dharma, if they had truly learned them, I could have taught them so much more. Yet what they study is different. They study Zhua Gong, the principal void. Because of that, it is not the Dharma of Shakyamuni. And since they cling to Zhua Gong, if I speak to them, conflict arises. So I remained silent. Still, I saw such visions there, and I thought, this is no ordinary matter. Later, I returned to the office. As I sat there, words pressed to rise from my lips ever since seeing that vision. And what was it? From the back of my head, I heard a voice. No figure, only sound. It said, the time is urgent. Quickly put aside these things and spread the Dharma. There is no time left. The voice came again and again. But I ignored it, for many were waiting, and I had to treat them. Yet the hindrance kept pressing. And who do you think it was? It was Shakyamuni, because the time is near, and so urgent. He urged me, quickly put this aside and deliver living beings. Do you understand? So while I was treating, my mind kept being pulled aside. Voices pressed me, though unseen, while I held the needles in my hand. I thought, this will drive me mad. And so I stopped the treatment for a time. Back then, head monk Timyong Haiwu was gravely ill. It was a matter of life or death. And is not human life most precious? It was for the sake of saving lives that I gave so much healing. For life must never be treated carelessly. But when I looked closer with the eye of heavenly insight, I saw that the teacher they revered was not a true monk, but a shaman. When I scanned him with the power of vision, the Mia-ri Hill appeared before me. Do you know Mia-ri Hill? When the eye of insight opens, past and future deeds are revealed. And I saw that in a past life he ran a fortune-telling house there. So I told no monks, but kept it to myself. Yet in that temple, they especially despised Hai Wu. Yes, she was ill, but also because she came already carrying great spiritual power. And so they knew she was not like them. When monks return from Gongwon, the Buddhist academy, they come at 1 o'clock, in groups of 5 or 6, to bow before their teacher. And though they treat others kindly, They would glare only at Hai Wu. Even before she became a monk, she carried such power. So in that temple, where 80 or 90 monks lived and 200 when all gathered from across the land, they bore resentment toward her, because she was not bound by their worldly karma. Thus she could not interbe with them as they interbe among themselves. Do you understand? Seeing this, I said once, what use is starving for ritual, when the body is failing now? However noble the promise of future awakening, if the body collapses, who then becomes Buddha? First, heal the body. So I gave all my strength and restored her health. And so people began to call me Medicine Buddha. They called me that, for I healed. But remember the way my disciples here in Yonghua Temple treat me, and the way patients treated me in the healing hall, are very different. When patients came, they did not act roughly. They showed reverence. Go to the Di Sun Jinraho, at the great hall in Yunggok Dong, vast, far beyond Jogi temples. There, before the Seong Gom, who is greater in rank than a Jogi abbot, all disciples enter with bowed heads, hands folded, robes neat. They kneel, they greet with words, I pay my respects, and then retreat slowly, half bowed, to sit aside. When I visited, they did so before me. And when I laughed, saying lightly, shall I bow too? They answered, what words are these? How could Buddha bow to living beings? Even when I enter a hall or office, Seong Gom's dress in clean robes, hair combed, bowing 3 times before me. Such is proper decorum. But here, many of you are rough in manner. Not that I seek honor, but reverence is the mark of cultivation. Ask those who came to me for healing for 10 years, not one day absent. They came. Always they knelt before receiving the needle. For without proper manners, even if you enter the Yonghua world, you will remain like the lowest, carrying water. Think well, manners are precious. A child, raised by parents who labored through hardship, fed them, sent them to school. When that child prospers, if he calls his father servant before his friends, what pain is this? Is it not betrayal? For life itself was given by those parents. So remember, a person must treat people as precious. Yes, value yourself, but also value others. Even a single word you speak should bring forth a smile from the one who hears it. If your words cannot draw a smile, then you are not speaking as a good person. When words are kind and true, when they carry goodness, the listener naturally smiles, lips bending into gentle laughter. Is it not so? But when words are harsh and crude, how could a smile arise? It cannot. This is the same in politics, in business, in the family. Running a great company, do you know how difficult it is? Within it are all sorts of people, every manner of character. If you tried to manage each one by force, the company could not stand. So what must be done? You must cultivate them through refining education. During the morning assembly, even if an hour of work is lost, what of it? Use that hour to guide them, to soften and elevate their hearts. If production is a little low, I will not send you home. More important is to build a workplace where harmony abides, where flowers of laughter always bloom. Do not live company life with frowns, sighing over hardship or lack of money. Think, does one spoonful of rice fill the belly? No, only when a whole bowl is eaten is one satisfied. So as time flows, good things come, prosperity arises. Therefore, work always with joy. That is what I always say. And though it was an ironworks, where accidents could have been countless, where in the blink of an eye, in 1 or 2 seconds, a man could be killed if caught in a machine, yet no such accidents occurred. Why? Because I told them even if output is not high, it is better not to be injured. Work with a joyful heart. Always I said so. And the owner must use wisdom, developing fine products with clear awakening, so that even if they sell fewer, the margin is good. Is it not so? For every product carries its development cost. And do you think development is done with spit and nothing more? No, it requires true effort, and that cost must be honored. So you see, in life there are always such twists and turns. If Yun Sak Yul had governed with the heart of a virtuous bodhisattva as I do, would he have ended up in such trouble? Surely not. When I first looked at him, I said it best, 2 years. If he forces it with sheer power, perhaps 3. Ask around. I said this as soon as he began. It was already clear. And Lee Jae-myung as well. If his party, his representatives, his lawmakers do not firmly protect and support him, then even he will not finish his term. For within the People's Party lies a tumor, an obstruction. I know it well. You know the saying, dried persimmon tastes sweet at first. Yes, it is sweet when you eat it. But afterward, the result is not good. Do you know why? Because persimmons are rich in tannin. When you eat dried persimmon, your digestion weakens. Inside the stomach, the food lumps together into hard little balls. They bind tightly, rolling and clumping. And when such masses form, no stool will pass. And if nothing passes, what becomes of the food in the belly? It turns into a tumor. What goes in must also come out. Is this not so? Everything is written plainly in nature. And you, when you come to Yonghua Temple, do you come only to seek the Yonghua world? No, for you still have long years ahead in this life. Do you not wish to know how to live well until death comes? To keep your body healthy? To live rightly? Is it not so? You must not let your body fall ill. You all know from experience, when the body is sick, everything ends there. If your body remains well, and you can continue to come faithfully to Yonghua Temple, then truly you are blessed. There is an elderly laywoman here, an old devotee. She has not come for some time. So our head monk Timyong Haiwu called her, and hearing her words, my heart grew heavy. She said, I long so much to come to the temple, but my body will not obey. I cannot move, and I cannot even remember clearly where Yonghua Temple is. And when told, take a taxi and come, she replied, even if I take a taxi, I do not know where to tell them to go. Where is Yonghua Temple? Such is the sorrow when the body no longer follows the heart. Someone who once came regularly, when dementia arrives, cannot even find the temple. So if you are still able to rise in the morning, eat your meal, come to Yonghua Temple, listen to the Dharma, and return home, know that you are already living in happiness. Is it not so? Look at a persimmon tree. Do only ripe, red fruits fall? No, unripe, hard ones fall as well. So do not think youth alone is security. No one knows when a life will end. Therefore, if you can come here, hear the Dharma, keep your body strong, and feel joy in living, that is the highest blessing. Maitreya Buddha does not drive you with a whip, forcing you into Yonghua Temple. He draws you with the way of harmony, with love, never with compulsion. Am I not gentle with you? Is it not so? When you meet the precious Buddha, you must hold a good heart and practice sincerely. If those who come to the temple quarrel, argue, and harbor resentment, they will not enter the Yonghua world. What use would it be to arrive, only to fight again? And if cast out from there, where could they go? Nowhere. So awaken your minds, keep a pure practice, hold a heart of love, and always see others through love. Never let small matters stir up resentment within you. When you look into the Christian Bible, you see that it speaks of love. In 1 Corinthians, chapter 13, it teaches of love. Go home and read it. Love is not something done lightly. It is born from the heart, not from possessions or wealth. Even if one were to burn their own body for another, if there is no love within, all is in vain. Think of that. To give even one's body to fire is extreme devotion, yet without love inside, it is meaningless. Such is the teaching, and it is good. Why think poorly of it simply because it is from Christians? The Bible, too, holds many good words. It is people's failure to live them out that is the problem. In writing, much wisdom has been left, and indeed, love is precious, is it not? But if it is only in words, what good is it? Buddha is precious, yes, but so too are the parents who gave you birth. To look upon them with your eyes while they yet live, that is the truest love. I know my family well. Often I return to the countryside. When I go, I see my father and mother lying buried in the earth. Yes, beneath the soil I see them. And when I sit before their mound, suddenly, as if from nowhere, they come. As I bow in reverence, they say, you suffered much to come here. Even when head monk Timyong Haiwu bows, they say, ah, you came with effort, venerable monk, when lay followers from the temple travel to their hometown, buying makali, sweets, or fruit, and bow before their ancestors. Their eyes may not see, but I see clearly. The departed say, you endured hardship to come here in the heat, and offer deep praise. So know this, it is not great offerings that bring great blessings. Even the smallest token, if offered with utmost sincerity, becomes true devotion. Is it not so? Listen well. When I saw those few troublemakers leave this place, I reflected much. They once came, knelt here, learned all things, received awakening from me. If so, am I not their teacher, their guide? And if they had only come, confessed, and said, I did wrong, I acted unworthily as a human being, would I have cursed them? Would I have struck them? Would I have raised a rod? Think on it. A person who lives without ever knowing their own fault, is that truly a person? Is it not so? One must know one's own faults. If one does not know one's own faults, then that person is not even human. Is it not so? So when I see such people, do I curse them? Ask head monk Timyong Hai Wu. I do not curse, I do not lash out. Rather, head monk Timyong Hai Wu says, those people are indeed strange. Ask, have I ever cursed people and spoken badly? I do not curse. If one wishes to come, then come. It is people meeting people, not people meeting beasts. Is it not so? All are precious people. Some have bright eyes and so have much good fortune, earn money, and become wealthy. But those whose eyes are dark and blocked stumble, fall, get cheated of money, and face misfortune wherever they go. Seeing such things shows that one must live life rightly. Do you understand? Especially those in politics. We work to the bone earning money, and I too pay much tax. I pay much tax, but those who only live on salary, when they pay taxes, may feel it as wasteful. But for the nation and the state, one must not think paying taxes is wasteful. It is a duty. But if those who govern for the state and the people only choose wicked deeds, then giving that money feels wasteful, does it not? Among lawmakers, very few have true qualifications. As I see it, almost all are corrupt. They shout loudly. When one speaks with love, it is understood, but they wag their fingers and shout. They are not truly intelligent. Looking closely, they know nothing, only their voices are loud. They know nothing yet still shout, having only learned wicked things. Thus, in Yanghua Temple, people must cultivate good character. With good character, and with virtuous character, when you go to the Yanghua world, you may at least reach the middle grade. Only by reaching the middle grade can you receive reincarnation rebirth. Do you understand? I do not boast, but look at my own mother. You saw the photograph of Guangmyung Bodhisattva, did you not? You saw that she passed away and immediately entered the Yanghua world, did you not? You saw the photograph that was taken. Whenever I call upon her to return through reincarnation rebirth, she says she will come. But now is not the time. Why? Because the world is chaotic. If she came now, she would not find happiness. So I do not call her to return now. And you, if you remain there too long, what good is it? There is no need to remain long in the Yanghua world. You must receive reincarnation rebirth. And why must you? To become Gong Thought. You cannot answer. Your minds are still filled with distractions. Only by being reborn through reincarnation rebirth can one become Gong Thought. Do you not understand? Why do you sit so blankly? How many in this world can explain so clearly and distinctly as I do? If one speaks in words that cannot be understood, then no one can grasp them. Only through reincarnation rebirth can one attain Gong Thought. One who has undergone reincarnation rebirth, even if they die, will go to the Yanghua world, and then return again through reincarnation rebirth to live in the Saha world. Then again, they go to the Yanghua world, remain there, then return once more through reincarnation rebirth to the Saha world. Thus, there is no death. In the words of living beings, this is called eternal life. But in the words of enlightenment, it is called Gong Thought. Do you understand? To grasp this much, the mind must already be well studied and cultivated. When one lives and then dies, if it ends with the law of interdependent arising, then it simply ends. But if one dies and goes to the Yonghua world, rests there for a while, and then returns through reincarnation rebirth to the Saha world, it is different. Yet those who come this way do not return in the same state. They may be born into wealthy households, with much money. Whether they come to Korea or to America depends on the blessings they are given. Is it not so that some pine trees, lacking blessings, sprout on the mountain peak? Because they grow on the mountain peak, battered by harsh winds in the coldest winter, the pine trees cannot grow tall. They twist and remain small even after 100 years. Why is that so? Because the environment is poor. If you also go to a place with a poor environment, you will see how it is. If the conditions are similar, then whether in Korea, Japan, or in America or England, one may be born into a wealthy family, live there, die, and then again go to the Yonghua world. There, after resting for a while, I may once again return through reincarnation rebirth. After living for 70 or 80 years, with the body weary and life burdensome, I again rest there for a time, and then return once more through reincarnation rebirth. This is what is called Gong thought. Do you understand? If you surely understood, then that is enough. So now I have spoken for 2 hours. How was today's Dharma talk? Was it good? The most foolish type of person, do you know who that is? It is the one who follows others' words and trails after them. Why follow others' words like a fool, without one's own direction? Then is that not a person without conviction? When there is no conviction and one always follows the will of others, that is a fool. And such a person, what did I call them? Curly-haired? No. Then what did I say? Yes, exactly. Those are the ones who walk around with nothing but 3 spans of coarse cloth. I do not like such people. A person must be wise. A person must have clarity. One who cannot even hold their own conviction should not tell others what to do. That is why I spoke about politics, though I had not intended to. A person who cannot discern their own path, what business do they have opening their mouth in such places as if to act? That is why I spoke of politics. In truth, there was no reason to speak of it. But even so, as one citizen of our nation, the Republic of Korea, I spoke a word for the sake of the country, for the people, and for the future. And also, we must choose our president well. Only then will the nation be at peace. Who would call a man president who drinks, sprawls out, and rolls about in only undergarments? Such is beneath dignity. How did such a one come to be chosen? Ah, truly pitiful. Indeed. So from now on, as the days grow hotter, you must guard your health, and your body must not fall ill. Take care, let the work in your household also go well. Be healthy, earn much wealth, and may peace be with you. The law of all things in the universe, the Gong thought. The teachings of Yonghua Maitreya Buddha, the founder of the Gong thought. An enlightened Buddha emits light from his body and saves living beings with Buddha's enlightened light. The light of the sun that creates all things is Buddha's enlightened light. And only the Buddha's enlightened light of an enlightened Buddha can make humans reincarnate. The Buddha's enlightened light of the living Buddha. That is precisely the Gong thought. Receiving Shugi means embracing Buddha's enlightened light, that is, the Gong thought, within my body. After death, there is no samsara, only everything becomes extinct. If you receive Shugi with the Buddha's enlightened light of an enlightened Buddha, you will have eyes that can see the Yonghua world even after death. Chendu and Shugyi are only possible through the Buddha's enlightened light of an enlightened Buddha. Don't receive Chendu after death, receive Shugyi while you are alive. Believe and follow only what you can see, hear, and confirm. The dead cannot arise interdependently, only the living can arise interdependently. Just as gold cannot be made artificially, a Buddha comes as a Buddha from the beginning, and a living being cannot become a Buddha through prayer or Zen meditation. However, those who have received Shugyi can receive Buddha's enlightened light and become living Buddhas. All these Gong thought were created by Yonghwa Maitreya Buddha. Like the sky and the earth, the sea and the mountains, the source of life and creation, the limitless and eternal truth, the Gong thought. See, hear, and meet Yonghwa Maitreya Buddha's Gong thought directly every Sunday at Yonghwasa Temple in Surazan Mountain, Anyang.